the growth numbers coming from the industrial production as well as service side is in the high range of the 5% territory. I think it's close to 6% now. I think this is a very good signal here. Another very important point is about consumption. For most of the bulk part of this year, consumption has been sort of just hovering a little bit over in the positive territory. Now we are getting into the 4 to 5% territory, particularly the service side. So I think these are all very strong indications that at least we are starting to go into a uptrend. And my projection is that probably for the rest of the year, we are seeing these kinds of numbers in the higher end of the 5% range, which bodes very well for the overall target of a 5%, about 5% growth target for the whole year.
And John, we know that over the first 7-8 months of this year, China has done a lot to renew strong relationships that it has, especially with countries in the region, whether it be Asia, Global South. To what degree do you think that is driving this continuous rise of Chinese exports? And I also want to go back to domestic consumption as well, because that still is one of the key challenges.
Yeah, well, let's first talk about the export side, the trade side. This is the one area that never fails to pleasantly surprise experts and people who are forecasting. It's amazing to see that China's exports performance has been delivering solid results month after month, quarter after quarter, even amidst the biggest protectionist wave coming from Washington, in many years. You look at China's exports to the United States, that's been steadily coming down, right? The latest figures showing a 11% drop, year-over-year basis. But overall, China's exports has been increasing at 7%. This is just an amazing, amazing result. And I would continue to expect that the trend is going to continue in this way. And you can clearly see that the upside is mostly coming from China's trade with the ASEAN countries, the BRICS countries, the BRICS countries, the countries in the Global South. This is where activities are actually taking place right now.
Yeah.
Regarding consumption, I think we're finally starting to see some positive signs. I think people still have the money in the bank. I mean, you look at the deposit level of China's major banks is actually a historic high. And I think with the stock market recovering, we actually have seen pretty good results for the stock market in the last 2 months or so. And also with the real estate market sort of stabilizing, I think there's a wealth effect taking place right now. I think we're starting to see that people are a little bit more comfortable about spending money. And I think with the economic growth prospect getting a little bit better, I think people are a little bit more comfortable about spending their money, and that is reflected in the consumption figures so far.
Okay, John, let's kind of focus on some things that are a little more out of China's hands, that the U.S. protectionism, its unilateralism, how that is adversely affecting China's economy. And if you read what economists are saying, it is definitely playing a role, especially in these latest numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, American market is still quite important. The overall percentage of America's China's exports to the United States accounts about a little bit over 9% right now of China's overall exports. And I would expect that probably this number is going to continue to drop by 1 or 2 percentage points in the next 2 years or so. But nevertheless, I think with what's going on in Washington, with President Trump's initiative with respect to the conflict in Ukraine that they reported, maybe there's a good chance of sort of stabilizing the relationship on the trade side, on the business side between China and the United States. President Trump I think is starting to realize that he is essentially, in my view, starting to establish a new world order where China, United States, and Russia are going to play a more important role as opposed to a sort of alliance-based approach against China and Russia that has been done by the previous administration. And I think that bodes quite well for the overall international environment under which China operates, of course. And that probably provides some opportunities of further at least stabilizing the relationship between Washington and Beijing in terms of the economic relationship,
Indeed.
trade relationship, and that's probably one thing that quite a revolutionary development in international relations in the past since the past few decades. Right?